Hey, and welcome back to Oops, I'm Evolving. I'm so excited today because video. I haven't been recording my podcast on video because I don't know. I just didn't want to, but I have been called to start doing YouTube. So if you want to watch the episodes from now on, it'll be on YouTube and then you can see my smiling face. So today I want to talk a lot about some like aha moments and some clarity that's come to me because I feel like right now specifically the veil is really thin. And I think after all of these retrogrades and everything that we have been going through, personally and collectively, we just have been having a lot of aha moments. If you don't feel like you've been having a lot of aha moments, don't get worked up about it. It's totally fine. It's not like you're missing out on anything. It's just that maybe these retrogrades in your birth chart weren't as prominent as they are in my birth chart. So I'll share this with you, but don't feel like you're missing out on anything. So one thing that I have been continually feeling like and moving through is specifically like emotional intelligence and then boundaries. We know that I already did an episode on boundaries, but man, oh man, I feel like it's coming in even stronger for me post retrograde. So I've been having a lot of really interesting insights with my boundaries and my productivity and my opportunity for boundaries with people that I love and my opportunities for boundaries with myself. And really, one thing that I've been kind of keep coming back to is this emotional intelligence piece. And I knew that there was a there, and that I was really being urged to look at my emotions and feel my emotions without letting them overrun me and being able to take the wisdom that the emotions provide me without stuffing them down. And I feel like this kind of came full circle because I had two healings this weekend and it was really interesting. They both experienced the same symptoms, but they had different motivations for the reason they stuffed their feelings down, the reason they didn't express them. And we know that when you stuff your feelings down, when you don't express your feelings, really what you're doing is you're storing them in your body. So if you've ever had any kind of energetic healing, a lot of times what happens is we're taking some of that junk that you've stuffed down, some of that energy that you're carrying, and we're releasing that through your energetic healing. But what is one way to keep your vessel clear without having to constantly do these big energetic healings and have to kind of rely on someone else, or if you know how to do energetic healings, to kind of purge your body of that? Well, one huge thing you can start doing for yourself today is to express your emotions. And when you express your emotions, when you feel your emotions, that's when you get to move through them and you get to take the pain that you experience through this emotion and you get to turn it into wisdom. So that's when that transmutation happens. So if you've ever heard about how to transmute energy, that's what you're doing, because energy only ever changes form. It's not created nor destroyed. So when you think about this pain and these heavy emotions, we want to transmute that into something that actually serves you. Now, how do you do that? That's how, hold on with me. Hold on with me. I know I'm an Aquarius and things start to get like freaky deaky in my mind, but there are connections here. There are connection points. So hang on with me and let's talk about it. By the end, we are going to do a little energetic activation. I'm really excited because I'm building out something for you guys that I'm so excited about. This is going to be a little sneak preview of kind of what to expect There's going to be so much more in what I'm building, but we're going to do just a little energetic activation to help you get in touch with your emotions, help you cleanse some of the heavy stuff that you've been carrying, and get into a space where maybe it's not as scary to feel your emotions as you think it is. Maybe we don't have to deal with all of the BS conditioning that we've all been conditioned around emotions. So hang in with me. This is a kind of connect the dots episode, but I promise it all comes together. So when you hear the word emotional intelligence, what typically comes to mind is probably something like being calm or being good with people, or maybe even having the perfect response in situations. It's like you think that emotional intelligence is somebody who is able to keep their shit together. But that's not what emotional intelligence is. That's actually emotional performance. And that's what most of us are doing. Most of us have this emotional performance mask that we wear. Emotional intelligence is a whole nother game. Emotional intelligence is knowing what's yours, what's not, and having the courage to actually feel what you need to feel instead of outsourcing your power to guilt, people pleasing, or even numbing out, because that's where we typically go when we have emotions. That's where we've been taught to go. Because here's the truth. Most of us are not emotionally intelligent. We know that. We are emotionally conditioned, and we're conditioned to shove down, to smile, to fix, to smooth things over. And then we wonder why we're exhausted, why we're resentful, and why we're disconnected from ourselves. So, like I said, hang on, because we are doing a bunch of unraveling so that it can come together. First thing that you need to hear is that emotional intelligence isn't about being calm all the time. It's not about never losing your shit. The most emotionally intelligent people still lose their shit. It's part of the game. It's part of what we're here to do. That's expressing your emotion. So what we actually need to do is we need to recognize what you're feeling. We need to name it, and then we need to move through it without letting it run your life or run your relationships. Because typically, those of us who have big emotions, we let those run the show, or we stuff, and we let our brain run the show. Either way, we are acting out of an unhealthy place. Here's the thing with emotions. It is important to feel them. It is important to express them. If you're angry, you're angry. If you're grieving, you're grieving. And even the most emotionally intelligent thing you can do is to stop judging yourself when you're feeling a feeling. Emotions are energy in motion. Emotions are literally energy in motion. Energy wants to move. Like I said, it is neither created nor destroyed. It is just changed in form. So when you feel your feelings, like actually feel them, they move, they leave. But when you block them, when you judge them, when you stuff them down because you're afraid that they'll make you look crazy or weak or overly emotional, or it's not worth crying about, or whatever you've been taught to think about your emotions, that energy has to go somewhere. And where does it go? It goes into your body. It goes into your nervous system. It turns into chronic stress, into digestive issues, into headaches, into heaviness that's in your chest. And you want to know why you feel stuck in life? 9 times out of 10, it's because you're hoarding emotions that you never gave yourself the permission to feel. Your energy is literally cluttered with old grief, old anger, and old shame. And here's the crazy part. Half of it might not even be yours. Listen, I know. From a psychology angle, I was listening to a podcast and I just felt like this brought in a whole nother element. I thought it was so interesting, and I will put the podcast in the description. And it's about parenting, but I think even non-parents should really listen to it, because I drew so many correlations just in my life that were totally away from parenting. And even if you're doing any work with reparenting your inner child, this podcast would greatly help you. But one of the things that the woman in the podcast, Dr. Becky Kennedy, was saying is that a lot of times what happens when we create a boundary and we uphold this boundary is we feel an intense amount of guilt. I did a little mini podcast on this episode, and I wish I would have heard this perspective before I did that mini podcast, because I feel like this is game changing. It was a total aha moment for me. So You draw a boundary and you implement that boundary, and now you feel an intense amount of guilt. Whether this boundary was with a friend, a loved one, a child, it doesn't really matter, but we can think about it for a child. So, say we draw this boundary with a kiddo, and now we feel guilty. We feel guilty because our kiddo is crying and they're really upset. And now we're questioning, shit, was that boundary actually right? And like, oh, I know mommy wanted to leave and go hang out with her friends, but now my kiddo is crying and now I feel all of this guilt. But what Dr. Becky Kennedy says is that we're feeling this feeling in our body and we're calling it guilt, but that's not actually guilt, because guilt only happens when we go against our values. What you're feeling is you're actually feeling discomfort. You're feeling somebody else's discomfort. And a lot of times as women, we've been taught to people please, right? We know this. We've been taught to read the room. And anytime anyone is uncomfortable, we take that. It's almost like we like that discomfort out of somebody else and we shove it into our body. It's especially potent with our kiddos, but man, oh man, I feel this with my friends. I feel this with my significant other. I feel this in every relationship in my life. I don't ever want somebody to feel uncomfortable. So, what we do then is we suck that uncomfortable feeling out of our kiddos and into our body, and we just suck it in and we name it guilt. And we mistake this feeling, this discomfort, as our own feelings. So when we tell a friend no and they're disappointed, we feel that. And instead of saying like, oh, okay, they're allowed to be disappointed, that feeling is theirs. And instead of that, we pull it into our chest. So the energy healings that I was doing this weekend, it was really, really interesting because this woman felt like she was protecting her husband. And he was going through, being blamed and just kind of carrying a lot. And it was like she was this like protective shield in front of her husband. And she had all of this energy that she was carrying. And it was like she was scared that if she didn't carry it, then her hubby was going to have to carry it. And she didn't want her hubby to carry it. And she was like, nope, you know what? I'm strong enough. I can carry this for the both of us. And it's like, that's a beautiful sentiment, right? Like we can really say like, oh, this is a stunning sentiment of how much she loves her husband and really wanting to be there for him and to carry this so that he didn't have to carry it. But what ends up happening is you're just then carrying somebody else's energy. And just because she didn't carry, like neither one of them have to carry it. That's the answer. Whoever sent that energy is whose energy that is. And now you're just carrying it because why? Because you've been told that you have to? No, you can just release that. Return to sender. Nobody has to carry that. Another instance is I had another energy healing recently too, where it's like this woman was just carrying all of this heavy baggage. And you guys, we all do it. We all do it. We all carry this heavy baggage, these projections, these discomfort. We're all carrying this heavy baggage of energy. And I walked this woman through this exercise where I had her line up all of the people whose energy she was carrying. And she was carrying people's whose energy who was dead. She was carrying people's energy who was alive. She had like a crowd of people in front of her, and it was like she was taking off 30 backpacks off of her back, and she was crying while she did it because she felt guilty giving them their energy back. Think about that. Think about that if you were like, say you had somebody's items and you felt guilty giving them their items back. It's like we've been taught that we have to carry other people's heavy shit. And that's what weighs it down because it's not ours. That's part of this emotional intelligence piece, because if you can navigate what's yours and what somebody else's, that is so insanely powerful, especially for those of us who are in this realm of life, those of us who are empathic, those of us who just deeply are resonant and we've been taught to care and love for other people. That's an incredible thing, but it can be really heavy. It can keep you weighed down. It can keep you stuck. That woman, after she released all those backpacks, she's like, oh my God, I feel lighter. And I was like, yeah, you feel lighter. So, this guilt that you feel, guilt is supposed to be a compass. It's supposed to tell you when you've crossed your own values, not when you've simply made somebody else uncomfortable. There's a big difference there. And when you can separate the guilt from the discomfort, you'll stop bending your whole damn life around making sure that nobody else ever feels upset. This is the game changer. If you're somebody who's feeling really guilty around boundaries that you set, we need to start distinguishing the emotions that you're feeling. If they're yours, if they're not yours, exactly what emotion it is. Is it guilt because you went against your own values, or is this just discomfort? And discomfort is really amazing. When we're talking about allowing your children to feel discomfort, that is what makes them resilient. They have to feel discomfort in their life all the time. We know as adults we have to feel discomfort. Doesn't feel good, but if we can learn to navigate discomfort, holy smokes, our lives would severely change in the most amazing ways. We'd be able to take bigger jumps. We'd be able to take bigger risks. We wouldn't be so scared of that feeling of discomfort. So now I said, let's tie this into boundaries because you know I love some boundary talk. We think boundaries are being cold or cutting people off, but we know I've talked about this. Boundary is your filter. They allow more of the right shit in and less of the draining shit that keeps you stuck. So when we're talking about this at an energetic level, when we think about like your human design aura, when you have really strong boundaries, it actually helps you, like manifestors, it helps you with your urges. When you have really strong boundaries, when you stop people pleasing, when you stop externally keeping the peace, you're going to feel a lot more internal peace when you draw boundaries with that and with the people around you. Because you're going to start to realize that you are going to have more of the right people on your team and less of the wrong people on your team, which is going to help you move forward in those urges. It's going to allow you to work with that closed and repelling aura. And when we think about manifesting generators, holy smokes, boundaries are so important for you because your no's are just as important as your yeses. And what happens when you start clearing those no's is it's like all of a sudden, the universe starts bringing you yeses. And I don't mean only, but you start to get way more yeses in your life. Way more of those things that light you up and those full body like yeses and tingles, and way less of those pits in your stomach or those times where you're like, oh, I don't want to do it. And you're forcing yourself to do it because you have a boundary. That is your filter. It makes your aura way more potent. When we talk about reflectors, you guys need to have boundaries with your environment. And the better boundaries that you have with the people and the places and the spaces that you put yourself in, the better you're going to feel. And that is insanely empowering. When you know that your boundaries are designed to filter out the yuck and filter in more of the amazing surprises that you're designed to feel, that's when you know it's affecting you and your aura, okay? And then we talk about projectors. Projectors, you guys are made to wait for the invitation. So when you have a boundary with yourself and you're saying, I'm no longer going to spill my energy into people that aren't actually willing to receive it, then you actually get to pour more energy into yourself. And what do you know? You start getting recognized right and left because you have made that boundary with yourself. It's so insanely important. So knowing how to set those filters without drowning in this quote unquote guilt or discomfort is so insanely important. So when you're looking at how do I set my boundaries, you need to make sure that they're in alignment with you. They don't go against your values. So when you're sitting there, I want you to really consciously be like, is this boundary within my values. Because you don't have to take somebody's emotions into your body to prove that you love them. That's kind of like, I just want to say that again. You don't have to take somebody's emotions into your body to prove that you love them, because we've been taught to think that love equals self-abandonment. Every time you think that when you love somebody, it means, I think about this as a mother, I just want to say, how many times do you feel like you have to give up everything that you want so that you can be a good mom? Another really important thing that you can look at when you're looking at your human design is look at your open emotional centers. If you have an open emotional center, you literally amplify other people's emotions. You're like a satellite dish for picking up frequency around you. So emotional intelligence for you looks like, is this mine or am I borrowing it? And if you have a defined emotional center, you are a broadcaster. Your emotional waves color the room. So emotional intelligence for you is about riding that wave responsibly and not making your emotions everybody else's problem. Either way, your emotions are not about suppression. It's about awareness. A lot of us, I've already talked about this, are emotional hoarders. We collect resentment, shame, guilt, grief, and we shove it into the little closets in our bodies, and we don't deal with it because emotions can feel really messy. They can feel too painful. They are scary. But hoarded emotions don't stay quiet. They leak. They leak in how you snap at your partner, how you avoid risks, how you numb out on Netflix instead of actually creating the life you want. And sometimes your emotions, your hoarding, are your mom's grief, your dad's anger, your partner's stress, your kid's disappointment. You're carrying them because nobody ever told you that you don't have to. You haven't separated your emotions and somebody else's emotions. So that realization, that is emotional intelligence, knowing that you can put down what was never yours in the first place. So I want to ground this in like a real life scenario, because we know I like to be grounded and I like to like, okay, what does this look like in the real life? Because I know I can get a little like, ooh, out there, and I like to bring it down. So what this can look like in real life is somebody might cancel on you, and you might feel this sting or this little voice that says, they don't value me, like they've canceled on me twice now. Emotional intelligence means that you pause and you ask, what's fact and what's the story I'm telling myself? The fact is that they canceled. The story that you're saying is that they don't care about you. Those are two separate things. Another one, your kid has a tantrum. Your body tenses, you want to yell or you want to fix it. And emotional intelligence means that you might breathe through it. You might ground, and you remember that it's not your job to absorb their feelings. You might feel intense anger. You might have all of these emotions that pop up. But emotional intelligence is asking you to just take a breath and go, is this mine or is this theirs? And just because they're feeling these intense emotions doesn't mean I need to fix it, doesn't mean I need to shove it up, doesn't mean I need to like shove it away to make them a good kid. It's not your job to absorb their feelings. It's your job to hold space while they learn to feel them, period. So your partner shuts down on you and you think, oh my God, what did I do wrong? Emotional intelligence asks you to stop looking at the external and start looking at, what am I feeling and what's mine right now? What's mine versus what's theirs? Okay, so we're still going to do this energetic activation around emotions and expressing emotions, but how do you start building this muscle? Because that's what this is it's a muscle. It's not a magic switch. And I promise when you start playing around with it, you are still going to feel all of these feelings, and you're going to fall back into your old routines, and you're going to kind of be imperfectly implementing that. And that's okay. That's where we need to start. So the first place that you stop is check in with your body. Where are you feeling this? Are you feeling this in your chest, in your gut, in your jaw? And then I need you to ask yourself, is this mine or did I just absorb somebody else's storm? Is this mine? That can be really difficult to distinguish. And it's okay that we're implementing this imperfectly. It's okay that you might not know. It's okay. And then you need to move it. Emotions need an exit. They need a journal. They need to cry. They need to scream. They need to shake it out. They need to go for a walk. Let your body do what it was built to do, and don't let your brain get in the process. I know that for me and a lot of my clients, we automatically like to jump to the higher lesson in this. We really like to kind of be above our emotions because emotions make us feel messy, emotions make us feel weak, all of these things that we've been conditioned to do. So find a way to get into your body. And that's why it's so important to move it, because a lot of us can go right into our head and we need to get back into our body. That's a somatic practice. So, like I said, scream, shake, dance, go for a walk, hit a punching bag, do anything that allows you to get back into your body after feeling an emotion. And here's a big one. Practice the pause. When you're about to say yes, but your body is screaming at you no, when you're setting a boundary, pause and just say, let me get back to you. Because that tiny gap allows you to get into your emotional intelligence. That's where that muscle is built. So, like I said, this is not about perfection. It's not about becoming some enlightened monk who never reacts. It's about becoming someone who knows themselves deeply and they stop betraying their own body for the comfort of others. Because ultimately, that's what we're here to do, right? We want to stop betraying ourselves. And when we're consistently betraying ourselves for somebody else, no matter who that somebody else is, no matter how much we love that somebody else, we are drowning ourselves. It is truly like the whole idea of being on a flight and putting on your mask before you put on somebody else's. It doesn't mean that you're not going to help other people. It doesn't mean that you're not going to put on other people's masks. It doesn't make you selfish. It means I can't help other people until I help myself. And I can't learn how to navigate the world and learn the wisdom from my emotions versus letting it rule me until I learn how to take care of myself, right? So, when we can become way more in touch with our emotions, we really truly can start to learn the wisdom. Like I said, the wisdom from our emotions. We can transmute all of that pain into wisdom. And I don't mean like shoving the pain away and then being like, oh, yeah, they didn't mean it. And the reason that happened is, so that you could learn how to X, Y, or Z. I'll tell you a perfect example. So I had a tough relationship with my stepmother growing up. I would say tough is a very gentle word. And it was really painful for me. I went through a lot of really, really hard situations. And when I just kind of moved on, it was difficult. And it affected my relationship with my dad, and that was really difficult for me. And I just kept trying to find the understanding. I tried to understand what was happening instead of just allowing myself to be a child and feel these emotions. I kept trying to understand why she was being the way that she was being, because I felt like if I could understand it, then it wouldn't hurt so bad. So instead of just reading the fucking room, and who cares if I understand it, these actions were horrible, I would just stuff those feelings and I would automatically go to what the lesson is. And then it was almost like doubled down for me as I got an adult and I became a stepmother, because then I was like, that's why that happened. And I never really dealt with my emotions. I never really dealt with my trauma until I started doing this work. And I realized how much baggage I carried and how many stories I was telling myself about the behavior that was happening. And listen, that's where the pain gets stuck and we lose the wisdom. We lose the power that we gain from our emotions, but that we can gain when we transmute them. So it's about finally understanding that our emotions are our teachers and they're not our enemies. The more you can let them flow, the freer that you can become. So if you're sitting here wondering why you feel stuck, why you feel heavy, why you feel exhausted, it's not because there's anything wrong with you. It's not necessarily because you need more sleep, although maybe you do. It might be because you're carrying way too much energy that's not yours and was never yours. And the most emotionally intelligent thing you can do is put it down, let it move, and come back home to yourself. Okay. Now we are going to move into the energetic activation portion of the podcast. So if you are driving or doing something, maybe just take a pause and come back to this when you are either going for a walk or when you are sitting down and you have a moment to just kind of close your eyes. If you're going for a walk, you don't have to close your eyes, but anything like that really gets you into a good state to be able to receive energy. I'm just connecting in with the collective. And I'm just spending some time as we move through the world, we collect all kinds of energy on top of us that is not ours. And we're just shedding that, setting the intention that we are releasing all energy that is not for your highest, most benevolent good. All energy that is not yours is going back to its rightful owner. And we're just giving them their stuff back. We're not saying, I hate you, this is gross, get it off me, I don't want this anymore. We're just saying, hey, I borrowed a shirt of yours last year and I finally found it in my closet and here it is. Just shedding all of that energy that is not yours, that you've just collected through moving through life. It's kind of just like a blanket that sits on our aura, snuffs us out a little bit, and we're just peeling back all of these layers. I want you to close your eyes, take a big deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Now I want you to envision the whole time you were listening to this episode, the people whose energy you are carrying. The guilt, the shame, the embarrassment. And I want you to envision them standing in front of you. And for many of you, there'll be multiple people. Maybe there's only one. And either is okay. And I want you to envision scooping all of this energy, whether it be backpacks or blankets or however you picture it, off of your back. We're just taking it off and we're putting it into a wheelbarrow that's in front of us. And if you fill up that wheelbarrow, then another one appears and you just keep pulling it off your back, pulling it out of your heart, wherever you feel like you're storing it. Feel for many of you it's on your back, on your shoulders. Once your wheelbarrows are full and you feel like you've gotten it all off, I'm actually going to give you a few minutes because a lot of you are still going to be working on it. want you to bring the wheelbarrows over to those people. I just want you to say, hey, here's your energy back. I'm sorry I kept it for so long. It's not mine, and it's yours, so here you go. And you're releasing that energy back to those people. Now I want you to feel on your back, feel on your chest and your stomach. Do you feel like there's anything else there? Do you feel like there's any cords that are connecting you to these people? These times in your life that may have been really painful? And if you feel like there's something that just isn't yours, just set your intention that it be released from you now. And I know that a lot of you are feeling this hesitation, feeling this guilt from fully releasing because you feel like it's yours to carry. And I want to remind you about your values. Is it your value to carry somebody else's discomfort? Is it in your values to hold somebody else's energy for them? Is it in your values to stop other people from learning life lessons? And if you've answered with no, then I want you to just give yourself a little hug and say, it's okay. We are giving these people their energy back because it's not mine to carry. Okay. I'm just wrapping you in some love and light. And I want you to remember that anytime you're feeling this hesitation or this hardship with your boundary or with these feelings that you're feeling, I want to remind you to come back to your value system. Is this in your value system? And if it is, you're not feeling guilt, honey. Okay? You're feeling other people's discomfort. And discomfort is how we grow, and discomfort is how we learn lessons. And discomfort is a really, really, really powerful place to be. Because when you're uncomfortable, that's when you start to make shifts, right? If you always stayed comfortable, you would never grow. You would never evolve. You would never make big life-changing shifts in your life. Discomfort is a sign that things need to change. It's a sign that maybe you're going to go through a spiritual awakening. So we want people to be uncomfortable. That's how we help the world shift. That's how we help people evolve and change. And listen, this is not a savior complex. It's quite the opposite, right? We're just saying these are your feelings. It's okay that you feel them, but they're not mine. And they're not my burden to carry. And we really, truly have to remember that other people's stuff, not our burden to carry. And when you can start distinguishing what's other people's versus what's yours, that is emotional intelligence. That is game changing. That's when you're really going to lean into your wisdom, what your emotions are meant to show you. And we get to start to disconnect from all the bullshit and all the things that we've been taught to think, act, and behave, all of that conditioning, right? I knew that this energy was a big one. I knew that what we're going through collectively is a huge shift. Collectively right now, the energy is like just screaming that big things are going to start happening for people, and we have no clue what that is yet. So if you're feeling a little bit nervous, if you're having a little bit of anxiety, if you're going through kind of these big fluctuations of emotions, you are right on with the collective, okay? So don't fret, don't panic, just start allowing these things to move through you, and you're gonna start to learn what's yours and what's not yours. You're really gonna start to be able to dig into that. All right, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And as always, if you have questions, if you have things that you're moving through, please write in and maybe we'll get you covered on a little mini episode. And we will see you next week.